some information once heard can never be ejected from your mind. You will either be forced to suppress it or act upon it. You are about to hear the reality of the many untold or hidden things that have taken place in this world we live in. The truth of these things are now springing forth as a flood, as if a levee of knowledge has broken free. If you are a person who despises the truth, enjoys your delusion, and rejects knowledge, please keep it moving and don't bother to waste your time with this video.
You scared people, Huey. The Black Panthers scared people.
Anytime the black man attempts to change the slave image, he will scare white people. So the Black Panther Party, I thank you. When you scared people, that means that we were creating a positive black image for ourselves. And of course, we were wiped out systematically. There were about a million pages of information compiled upon me alone. I don't know how many millions of illegal, I don't know how many illegal break-ins, but I know I suffered at least 20 or 30 illegal break-ins. There were FBI documents with falsified bank records sent around, and the bank records were then sent around to our supporters. There were character assassinations.
You were an original Panther also, correct?
I was one of the original members of Huey's defense team when he was first charged with the murder of Officer Fry and the assault on Officer Haynes. I considering making Huey P. Newton's birthday a national holiday. When I first came to the Bay Area from Chicago, I was appalled at the way the police were oppressing black people in the ghetto. And the only man who had the guts to stand up was Huey P. Newton, along with his associate Bobby Seale. I was very proud of his actions. I thought that Martin Luther King taught us how to pray and how to arouse the conscience of our oppressor. And I thought that Huey P. Newton taught us how to stand up to our oppressor. And for that, I think he should be accorded a national holiday.
Thank you, Colonel. You did a nice job with that.
I could remember being about 6 or 7, and we had an area for the Black Panthers up in Hunters Point, and I felt so protected that they were there. I felt that I could go outside, and everything was beauty. The black people were together in Hunters Point.
Now that you look back over the entire Black Panther movement, are you buoyed by it? I mean, was it a real positive experience?
Cleaning up the neighborhood, preventing crime, and having a law enforcement that was fair to the black community.
Akil Bashir joined the Panthers at the age of 16.
We actually started out as a patrolling agency which would patrol and police the police.
Well-armed Panthers blanketed.
I think it worked?
I think that we accomplished some of the goals that we set out for. Of course, that blacks are not free in the United States to this very day, so we have not accomplished freedom. But I hope that we laid down a history that we contributed to the continuing struggle for freedom.
Wolf elements.
Jeff Fort is perhaps the most notorious movement member. The former leader of a violent Chicago street gang, he was convicted in 1987 of conspiring with Libya's Gaddafi regime to blow up U.S. government buildings.
It's kind of a public relations nightmare.
In the summer of 1967, the police department created a special gang intelligence unit to gather information on the inner workings of the Stones. What they learned was terrifying.
The vast majority of Moorish communities in America are not involved in criminal acts
and violence, including
Salam. Hotep. We give you all the greetings because all these greetings is relevant to reaching out to my brothers and sisters that's universal. We try to keep it universal. because right now our problem is universal. Those who don't know, I'm Elihu El Shabazz, aka Big Bash. As we look at our universal problem, knowing that we're suffering on infinite levels, so we're not going to even deal with the suffering on these different levels. We're going to deal with the solutions on these different levels. But first, we'll take a good look at those champions who have championed our way. And then later, or then in the process of these different oppositions, these different obstacles that become our stumbling blocks, begin to vilify those who did good, those who are striving to uplift the fallen humanity. Therefore, it discredits, and then we have no trust into that specific school of thought or that specific solution to the problem that may be, let's say, the solution to that problem may not be district or residential, or it may be a solution to a problem that may be elsewhere, but it's still a solution. But therefore, that leader gets discredited because they get discredited based on the stumbling blocks that have been placed there by the enemy. Wait a minute, I'm gonna give you some examples. Let me see. Here's one example.
The South is saved. In this picture, the Ku Klux Klan was the good boy who saved the South. Most Hollywood films, though, even the early ones, weren't really nasty. Nobody was sitting around saying, hey, let's take care of the niggers. What producers were doing was making money. And to make money, they made pictures that white ticket buyers would enjoy. They showed Negroes the way most Americans like to think of them. To blame Hollywood is like throwing a rock at the mirror because you don't like what you see in it. When you look back on these old films, the patterns come jumping out at you. The most consistent thing about them was the attack on the black man. He was never even given the privilege of being a man. He was a boy, as in, you know, here boy. They had a lot of other great qualities besides being cowardly. For instance, they stole chickens.
Who's in there?
Not you, Mary, John, and Bob. These are kids from other schools. Did you know in some states it used to be against the law to teach blacks to read or write? Nowadays we're getting these integrated schoolrooms, and most people think that if we get enough teaching and enough jobs, everything is going to take care of itself. But there is a scar of history running right through kids as young as these. We asked some ordinary white kids from ordinary families to make some drawings for us. Like, well, let's call him John. John's white, and we asked him to draw himself. This is John. This is his house, and this is his tree. Then we asked a black kid, let's call him Ralph, to do the same thing. This is Ralph's drawing of himself. This is his tree. Now, why should two kids of the same age draw so differently? Enter the expert. This is Dr. Emmanuel Hammer, psychiatrist specializing in children's therapy.
Well, let me illustrate it for you. Let's take these drawings. No matter what a child draws, he's really picturing himself. Ask a secure child to draw a tree, and he's likely to draw a bountiful, spreading tree. A black child drew this tree, cut off in its growth, stark, bare, ungratified. It works the same way with drawings of people. Normal children, average drawings. The mood is happy, the child feels capable, the drawings are complete, and the arms are developed to emphasize strength. These children were old enough to draw complete figures. The significant fact is what they left out. Arms, hands. A child may sense that a situation in life is so powerless that he himself is equivalent to an armless man. My own study reveals that armless people appear 3 times more frequently in the drawings by black children than those by white. The faceless beings suggest that these youngsters not only feel themselves to be less than they be, they don't even feel themselves to be. The black child who is forced to live in a hostile world may disappear in self-defense.
The whole confusion was summed up by a black 9-year-old in these two paintings. This is a 9-year-old boy draws a white man, Robin Hood maybe. And this is how the same boy draws himself. And this is the consequence of deformed history. Most black parts were the way white Americans wanted them to be. The black male was consistently shown as nobody, nothing. He had no qualities that could be admired by any man, or more particularly, any woman.
When the sun goes down, the tide goes down, we dark gather round and they all begin to shout, hey, hey, Uncle Dudley.
White people didn't like to think much about them. Sort of like a relative you got in a rest home. I mean, happy darkies, dancing and singing was all they wanted to hear about. Being good Christians, the whites out front liked to think the blacks out back were kind of happy. Uncle Tom's Cabin was one of the first movies made that tried to say anything about black people. Uncle Tom was changed a little each time it was put on the stage, and all the parts were played by white actors. And by the time they made a movie of it in 1903, Uncle Tom was just the white man's idea of a good nigger. You might say he was what H. Rap Brown ain't. They made this picture 5 times. By the time they finished with it, Mickey Rooney could have played Uncle Tom. Minstrel shows started as a black man's entertainment for himself and the plantation owners. When they were filmed, though, they were done by a white cast. You figure that out. They were done as sort of a joke, and the black entertainer couldn't even get a job making fun of himself.
Some niggers are pain in the neck, too. All of them. Blackies. Now, damn revolution, they come around, want you to call them black. I don't call them black. I call them just as I see them. Niggers. When I see one, I let them know I don't like them. I spit. Tui. Not one of them's got a job. Every one of them's on welfare, begging the country. And then demanding this, demanding that. Marching down, littering up Washington, D.C. Littering it up. I watched them on TV. I spit on the TV set. Niggers. They should get rid of them. I mean, you don't have to cause bloodshed or nothing like that, because I'm against bloodshed. But just get rid of them. Put them someplace where you can't hear them yelling and begging, because they don't have anything. And if you give them something, they just dirty it up. The Mexicans, we just get rid of them today. They ain't worth nothing. Sneaking across the border every 5 minutes. Here they come, sneaking across the border, sneaking across the border. Can't speak English and begging for a job. Take up all the good jobs. Mexicans got all the good jobs. You see them out there. We give them good jobs in the first place because we felt sorry for them. Had them out there picking grapefruits and what do you call that stuff? Grapes. Was out there with a job. Now they're on strike. Don't want to work. Want to make something for nothing. Get rid of all of them. They ain't no good. Never have been no good. Mexicans. They tried to kill us off anyway. Tried to have a war, but we got them. Good. I got nothing against them, but they're just a pain in the neck. And you can forget them Puerto Ricans. 700 of them living in one room. I don't understand them. And they're all screaming and begging. Every one of them. You can hear them all every time. Give us something, give us something, give us something. Hell, I worked for what I got. Worked hard. Started out when I was 3 years old. I worked hard for what I got. With these hands, I've built things, reared things, brought them up, understood what they were. Nobody taught me nothing. I look around, I see these people begging. I can see right away. As soon as I see a colored man coming to me, I know he's going to beg for something. That's why I spit when I see him. I see old people coming. I know they're going to slow things down. That's why I spit when I see them coming. I see young people. I know right away they want to smoke dope. They got long hair. I don't give them a chance. I just spit. Scottish, Irish, Jews, Puerto Rican, Mexican. What is America coming to?
I love America, it's America. I love America, it's America. The land of the rich, it's America, land of the rich. I love America, it's America. I love America, it's America. The land of the rich. I love America, it's America. I love America, it's America.